Good afternoon, welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. The headlines. CHILUFYA TAYALI celebrates the jailing of NDC leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. Government stresses the need for enhanced hand washing in disease prevention. Details coming through after this commercial.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
And now the media news in detail. United Party for National Development President Hakainde Hichilema says the incarceration of NDC leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is a clear example of an unfair trial and injustice to the people through the justice system. Mr. Hichilema says there is darkness before dawn, urging Mr. KAMBWILI's family to stay strong. He has also urged all alliance partners to stay strong now more than ever when one of its leaders is incarcerated. Meanwhile, National Democratic Party Vice President Joseph Akafumba says CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is still the party president and is hopeful that the appeal will be granted after hearing on the 20th of October next week. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment on 2 counts which he will serve concurrently in a matter where he was charged with uttering false document and forgery.
Congress Party leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was yesterday convicted on 2 counts, which he will serve concurrently, meaning if the appeal fails, which his lawyers hopes may reduce the sentences or indeed discharge the whole sentence, will only serve for 1 year in prison. This is in a matter in which CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI is accused of forgery and uttering a false document in line with the incorporation of Mamona Engineering and Technical Services Limited. KAMBWILI, who is spending his second night behind bars, has heard his supporters cry foul of his incarceration done under the controversial judge David Musamba. NDC Party Vice President Joseph Akafumba says NDC is shocked at the fast pace in which the judgment was given, stating that it is a clear indication of trying to feast political opponents using the justice system.
I directly chose to hold this press briefing here to signify one thing, that even if our president is in incarceration now, he is still our president and remains our president. Now, coming to the issue of the judgment for yesterday, we did conduct a search at court, and we found that in the last 10 years, Musamba having been a magistrate, this is the fastest judgment that he has delivered in 2 weeks. I will repeat. We did conduct a search at court, and we found that in the last 10 years, this is the fastest judgment Musamba delivered in the last 2 weeks. Therefore, your guess is as good as mine. If at all he was working at this speed, I think it was going to decongest the number of remandees in prison. I have all along, including all the cases that are already before court, tried to get CK where they have put him, to weaken his spirit. But I can assure the nation that the man is not broken and is as strong as ever in defense of the Zambian poor people. Yesterday we quickly applied for bail pending appeal. The magistrate in his wisdom refused to entertain it, and he has put the date of 20th October, which is next week, Tuesday, to hear and determine the bail application. Ordinarily, things being equal, he should have heard and determine the bail application. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, a bail is a right. But under these circumstances where we are, where PF has broken all the institutions of governance, it's only the PF who are above the law.
In speaking at the joint press briefing at CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI's residence, United Party for National Development President Hakainde Hichilema says there is darkness before light, urging the members in the alliance and CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI's family to stay strong in this trying moment.
A country that is supposed to offer so much to its people is actually not offering nothing, but is taking away even the little that the citizens have. This is a situation that is obtaining in our country. That includes taking away our fundamental rights, liberties, freedoms. CK's situation, I said it to the family inside, in strengthening the family, must never be viewed as a case of criminality. It truly shouldn't be. It should rightly be viewed as a case of taking away a citizen's rights.
Meanwhile, earlier in the day, CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI was visited by his family members and is said to be in high spirit. The party awaits for bail hearing next week on Tuesday, 20th of October. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, Economic and Equity Party EEP President CHILUFYA TAYALI has described himself as the new kid on the block, the public lawyer who has seen to it that the National Democratic Congress leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI gets convicted and said should be given the credit for that. Mr. TAYALI says he is delighted that Dr. KAMBWILI has been jailed for his wrongdoings. The people of Zambia must not say that it was the Patriotic Front PF that politicized the case so that he gets locked up. His opposition leaders must not have a concept that if one of them takes them to court, that it's political victimization. Mr. TAYALI adds that it is time for Dr. KAMBWILI to pay for his deeds as he abused his authority during the time he was minister.
His conviction was the talk of the day. National Democratic Congress leader Dr. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI will have to spend at least 12 months behind bars after the Lusaka's Magistrate Court found him guilty of the offense of forgery and uttering false documents. Many, including his relatives, wept uncontrollably over his conviction. However, one man who is the complainant in this case, CHILUFYA TAYALI, is pleased with his conviction and states that Dr. KAMBWILI deserved what happened to him.
This case is about that. It's about holding a person who was in leadership and abused power. This is what this case is all about. Nothing else. He was in power and he abused his power and he has paid for it. And I'm happy for it. Because wrongdoers must be held accountable. Wrongdoers must pay for the wrong things that they do. What about the merits of the case? What are the merits of the case? The merits of the case are watertight. It's evidence, hard evidence. I know they are talking about appealing. I can assure you, I'm here. If there will be a judge that will overturn that judgment, I don't know.
Mr. TAYALI, who is Economic and Equity Party president, described himself as the new kid in the block who fights corruption.
The police. Myself, I went to court and testified in court. So I actually feel very insulted when you bring in the PF. Because this is not the fight of the PF. It's me who is fighting corruption. But PF, they are not fighting corruption. But PF appointed KAMBWILI. KAMBWILI was part of them. These things he was doing when he was in PF. This is Economic and Equity Party. CHILUFYA TAYALI, touch and go. Public lawyer. The new kid on the block. I've said it before. I've said it. And it's not today that I've started. I've been fighting corruption from the time I was in Zambian Voice.
He says the NDC leader is paying for his deeds he committed during the time he was minister and misused his powers.
Of his position to get contracts, to get payments. Was that good? It wasn't good. And I'm sure at that point, even those who are the so-called opposition who are supporting him, I'm sure at that time they would have been very happy to see him convicted. But now, because he came out of government, he's in opposition and is with them, now they are saying it's political persecution. No. I followed KAMBWILI because of this behavior, abusing power when he was a minister. So this is what it is.
Mr. TAYALI made allegations that Dr. KAMBWILI had registered a company with a fictitious name with a view that he can be getting his company, Momona Engineering and Technical Services, contracts during his time as Minister of Youth and Sport without being depicted that he was involved in that company. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kawe has disclosed that next week a team from DMMU will visit Gwembe and other affected areas in Southern Province to review the response activities and provide the required relief support. Mr. Kawe says Gwembe, Lunga and Shangombo districts are classified under Stage 4 of vulnerability and government has been providing relief support since then. He explains that according to the in-depth vulnerability assessment report, the 3 districts were badly affected and more relief was allocated to the areas. He further disclosed that unlike accusation that government has neglected Gwembe district, it is still on the relief schedule of the unit as one of the most hit districts by the drought of 2018-2019 farming season. Meanwhile, Mr. Kawe has reiterated that Gwembe Member of Parliament, who accused government of neglecting the area, must understand that there are procedures of getting government's attention and must not use the media to communicate with government.
My advice is to the Member of Parliament for Gwembe. I think people are elected to represent the interest of the people within that constituency. And if the Member of Parliament has seen that there is a need for government to help the people of Gwembe, I think the Member of Parliament by now has been in Parliament for 4 years plus now. He must understand the procedures of getting government attention. So if there's a need, the Member of Parliament shouldn't be using the media to try and speak and seek attention of government. Yes, as government we've been helping the people of Gwembe from 2019 when we had faced droughts. And Gwembe was one of the most affected districts in Stage 4. Where we had Gwembe, Lunga, Shangombo, and others who are in that Pillar 4. So it's very true that Gwembe last year faced a lot of challenges in terms of food to household level because of the droughts, and government responded to feed the people of Gwembe. Now the people of Gwembe are in the recovery period from the 2018-2019 rainy season. And of course, we had some shocks of dry spells in the 2019-2020. So government is doing everything possible to ensure that the people of Gwembe are supported. And we intend to visit Gwembe before independence.
Zambia joined the rest of the world in celebrating Global Hand Washing Day under the theme Hand Hygiene for All. Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection Minister says hand washing is key in disease prevention such as cholera, dysentery, among other diseases. Dr. Chanda says government aims at increasing access to basic hand washing service to 100% from the current 14% once water and sanitation infrastructure is made accessible to all. Dr. Chanda says this is key in attaining Vision 2030, which seeks to ensure that everyone has access to clean water. The minister notes that other agencies such as the United Nations World Health Organization and UNICEF estimate that a combination of diarrhea diseases such as cholera, typhoid and acute respiratory infections such as pneumonia result in death of about 3.5 million children every year. Meanwhile, Dr. Chanda says hand washing and its importance is helping helping prevent the spread of disease, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, should be the everyday talk in homes, places of works, and any other social gatherings.
Hand washing with soap and water has been proven to be the most effective way of removing germs and other bacteria, including the coronavirus. Ladies and gentlemen, the focus on hands is because of the frequent use of hands, which entails that hands can easily accumulate germs and bacteria more than any other part of the body. I think we all agree that we shake hands with the we touch surfaces with the hand, not with the foot. The foot is covered, the hand is not. So the hand is a major transmitter of diseases. The rate of hands being contaminated with germs and bacteria every minute is very high. The need to frequently and thoroughly clean the hands to remove the germs and bacteria by washing hands with soap and water cannot be overemphasized. During this time that the country and the world has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, emphasis has been on washing hands with soap and water at all critical times, in addition to other key public health measures like mandatory face mask wearing in public and social distancing. Hand washing and its importance in helping prevent the spread of diseases should be our everyday talk in our homes, places of work, places of worship, and any other social gatherings, markets, bus stations. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that contaminated hands are the main sources of diarrhea and acute respiratory infections, especially in children under 5 years globally. The United Nations agencies such as the World Health Organization and UNICEF estimate that a combination of diarrheal diseases such as cholera, dysentery, typhoid, and acute respiratory infections such as pneumonia result in deaths of about 3.5 million children every year. And we should also add that the coronavirus is also a respiratory disease that has infected over 7 million people globally and killed over 1 million people. Ladies and gentlemen, government remains committed to attainment of set targets under the Sustainable Development Goals, Vision 2030, and the 7th National Development Plan.
Well, that news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go, the headlines once again. CHILUFYA TAYALI celebrates the jailing of NDC leader CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI. Government stresses the need for enhanced hand washing in disease prevention. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you make a date with us this evening on our main news desk at 19:30. Join us on social media, Camnet TV on Facebook and Camnet TV Africa on Instagram. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Good afternoon.